Okay, we're going to get started here. So, howdy, and hope everybody's doing well. This is our sixth, seventh, I don't know, work from home webinar series. I apologize ahead of time. The security one we did on Thursday is still not up yet. I've still got to do some editing, all that kind of fun stuff, so that will be up within the next day or so. And the one we did Tuesday with the troubleshooting, that is actually up on YouTube, but we haven't sent out the materials. So we'll be doing that tomorrow along with the stuff from today. So bear with us. And also, as always, we're doing everything through conversation or through chat. So if you have any questions, please join in on the chat. Caveats today are pretty much the exact same as always. We don't have any healthcare expertise that we're sharing here. My opinions, any opinion I do give out is just mine. It's just a 30-minute review of the topic. So we're not doing deep dives or anything here. And pardon me for saying stuff that's inappropriate, that I think is funny. Those of you who know me know that that's my parents. We blame my parents. We will be emailing reminders. The link for today's meeting is the same link for any other meeting we do, as well as the PDF attachments, as well as the YouTube recording. If anyone is interested in the actual PowerPoints, because you want to do something similar, let us know. We've actually set up an online spot where other MSPs like ourselves can have access to these as well. So today, we're talking about Office 365 tools that you didn't know you had. By the way, could somebody do me a favor? Just chat to me and tell me, A, you can hear me, and B, you can see the PowerPoint. Cool. Thank you, Ann. All right, MJ, a little slow. Luann, coming really slow. Boy, you guys are really... No, just kidding. I do appreciate the feedback. And please give us feedback throughout this thing and afterwards, because really... that's the whole point here, is we want to make sure that we're actually adding value and all of that kind of fun stuff. So, all righty. And the takeaways, we've got takeaways, and the takeaways here are really going to be dependent upon your experience on what you see, of what we're doing and all that kind of fun stuff. But there's two types. One is the brain, something to think about, and two is the brawn. This is actually something you should actually do as a result. So, and really all we're talking about here is what do you have as far as Office 365 goes. There is a certain assumption here that you do have an Office 365 subscription through your organization. Some stuff we'll be talking about are going to be more aimed at the global administrators, the Uber lords of the Office 365, and some will be aimed at the end users, and some will be aimed a little bit at both. So take all of that with a grain of salt. And then we're going to, when I say demos, we're really going to do very, very quick dives into the products. We don't have time. However, I would love to hear if there's any of these products that we do a quick look at and you think, wow, we'd really love to see more in depth on that. Please let us know, because quite honestly, we're running out of topics. We've got a couple more topics to add to this, but we'd really love some feedback as to what would be useful to everybody. So, all right. So here's the thing. Office 365 was originally put out, there's a little history lesson, as BPOS, Business Productivity Online Services, BPOS. And they switched it around and changed it to Office 365, and now they're changing it again, so it's actually being renamed to Microsoft 365, which is a totally separate topic, and that's in addition to the Microsoft 365 that's already out there. So anyway, but for the longest time, Office 365, everybody thinks of it in terms of, oh, it's email. Oh, it's a way to get my Microsoft licensing. And that was pretty much it. It was those two things. However, there are a lot of other things that are included and a lot of other products that have been added, most of which, and we're not going to get into the telephony here, which probably could be another topic itself, but most of which has been added to the existing subscriptions for free. Okay, which is really what we're going to be talking about here. We may at some point want to talk about the telephony stuff as well, but we're really not going to get into that here. So I apologize. We probably should have pointed that out. And Teams is the latest one. Yeah, the never-ending story. And it truly is the never-ending story. Because here's the thing. Every time Microsoft puts out, you have Microsoft and Google are in this constant death struggle between the two in terms of this whole online business office individual productivity tool suite. And whenever I talk to people and people say, well, what about Google Docs? What about this, that, or the other thing? And how does Google versus Microsoft go? My point to everybody is always Google is really focused on the individual productivity, and they've added the corporate productivity as a secondary. Microsoft is really looking at the corporate productivity and has added the individual productivity as a secondary. They're both kind of doing the same thing, but they're both constantly looking at each other and looking over each other's shoulders and adding goods and services and products and all of that kind of thing constantly. And so Microsoft is constantly adding new tools, new programs, new features, as Google is to their suite. And in a lot of cases, they do so with little or no fanfare. So Teams is a good example. So Microsoft bought Skype. They then upgraded to Skype for Business, and then they added Teams. And it took about 2 years before Microsoft said, you know, we're really serious about Teams, and we're replacing Skype for Business. And now everybody was, well, of course, it's Teams. Microsoft is constantly doing that. So always be on the lookout, and this is especially true from the global administrators there, especially if you're looking for productivity tools, ways to increase people's buy-in and use of the cloud-based services. So Microsoft is constantly adding stuff, and in some cases they'll add stuff that replaces stuff that they've already got. And we'll actually talk about a couple of examples on that. So if you're not sure what you've got, do a little heads-up research. And what you do is you just log on to Office 365, and anyone who has this doesn't have to be a global administrator. Anybody who has a 365 account can do this. You go to portal.office.com, and you basically take a look, and this is kind of what you'll start with, more or less. And what you can do is you can take a look at what you've got. Hold on a second. So if I go to Portal, I'm already logged in. So if I go into the portal, right out of the gate, good afternoon. Here are the primary, the most important, either by your use or by Microsoft's designation. Here are all the tools that you've got access to, all of the applications you've got access to. You can also click on all apps, and that will then bring up every application that you've got access to. Now, we're actually doing some ADFS, Active Directory Federated Services integration, so we can actually throw some additional applications like Amazon, D&H, third-party stuff, FedEx. So your mileage may vary. Similarly, not all applications will show up if the global administrator has either blocked application or hasn't added certain application. And your mileage may vary because Microsoft changes what's by default there or not. So beware of that. But here's all of the applications that Microsoft pretty much is giving you access to. And you'll notice there's a lot of stuff in there that's not just email, not just Office tools, whether they be cloud-based or not. And this is kind of what we're going to talk about. So if you look here, this is your starting point as far as what you've got. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to really focus on these guys because these are the 6 ones that I think actually have a lot of possibilities as far as organizations and individuals using them and don't get enough street cred as far as people knowing that they have access to it and the like. And that's, you can read the list. We got Planner. Planner is a web-based project management tool. For those of you who have used Microsoft Project and lived to tell the tale, you know that is one of the worst interfaces to work with if all you're trying to do is to manage a project. You just want to create some tasks, give people some assignments, create some timelines and some to-dos and all of that kind of fun stuff. There are a lot of third-party web-based apps, all that. Planner is Microsoft's version of that. So if you're looking to create project management, projects that you can then manage, use that. And you'll notice I put either web, Teams, or app. That basically means web means we already showed how you get to them. Web means it's an online product, all that. Teams means you can actually integrate it into Teams, and we'll show that in a minute. When there's an app, there's actually something you can install on the desktop as well. In some cases, you can also install them on your mobile devices alike. Your mileage may vary depending upon the app that you're using. Power BI is a really powerful tool. And it's a great dashboard analytic tool for you to create reports, dashboards, the whole 9 yards to represent data. So we'll show a demo of that. And the nice thing is that's also free for you to create your own reports, your own dashboard. I think it's a $9.95 per month cost. If you have one person who's going to create dashboards and reports for your organization and then it's distributed to other users, we'll show a little bit on that. That can also be its own topic, or 2 or 3 or 4. Stream, actually, there's 2 products you'll see on the portal, Stream and Video. They're both more or less the same thing. Stream is the new one, so ignore video, use Stream. Stream is essentially a way for you to distribute within your organization videos. And we'll show that you can do this through the web, you can do it through Teams, and there's actually some pretty cool stuff you can do on this. If you record a Teams meeting, it automatically gets posted up in Teams, up in Stream, and I'll show that as well. To-do. To-do is a to-do list. And To-do and Whiteboard are the 2 that actually have apps. No, Power BI also has a desktop app. To-do is really a way of consolidating your to-do lists into one place where you can take a look, and we'll take a look at that one as well. Whiteboard is really a cool tool. It's exactly that. When we have team meeting, we have collaboration meetings, one thing we miss the whiteboard. We miss the ability to have that whiteboard up on the wall where people can get up there, write things, draw things, show things, blah, blah, blah. Whiteboard is Microsoft's attempt in an integrated way to try to replace that. And then we've left with Yammer. Yammer is essentially a SharePoint for a Facebook for business. Microsoft bought Yammer about 4 or 5 years ago, I think, with the intention of using it to create Facebook-like online communities that would be there for organizations. I've only seen one good Yammer site, and oddly enough, it's Microsoft's. Microsoft has a pretty good Yammer site that is up there for Microsoft partners. It's really pretty good. Other than that, I'm not sure it's all that great. So we're going to go into this in a second. And again, as I said, if the apps don't show up, ask your administrator, your global administrator, to see what's going on. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of these guys. Oops. All right. So the first one I wanted to show is Planner. And all I'm really going to do, because we don't do this necessarily, but this is basically the Planner interface on the web. And you'll notice I got to it just simply by going over here and then going into Planner. And we've got an implementation plan. That's great. I can add tasks, set due dates. So if I add a task and do stuff, the due date is the 16th, and I can assign people to it. Actually, I'm going to assign Patty to it because she's on this call. And then I can add additional tasks. I can take a look I can create charts, buckets, all of that kind of fun stuff. And then you'll notice that this already has people there, and that's because if we look at Teams, and by the way, I still have problems with my camera because I'm doing an insider preview. I can go to the team, and we've got, because we were talking about doing a podcast, it looks like we're going to be delaying that for now. And in the podcast team, in Microsoft Teams, I added a planner page. So I can go here and add that planner. So I can make the project page part of the actual Teams channel itself. And you'll notice when I go plus here, it gives me all of these. So I can add all of these. Some of these are apps, some of these are not, whatever. If I go to manage apps, I can look at more apps. There's actually third-party companies who have developed apps to run in Teams as well. So in other words, I've got now a tool that allows me to include the project management inside of a Teams channel. And wherever I do it, so any place that I manage or maintain the data updates itself. Okay? So if you're looking to use Teams for collaboration and you're looking to use Teams to actually do some project management here, you can use Planner to integrate with Teams to actually keep everybody up to date as far as who's been assigned what tasks, who has what due dates, so on and so forth. Fairly simple to do, fairly straightforward. Any questions on that? Okay, cool. Power BI. Like I said, Power BI deserves its own. But for all purposes, what Power BI is useful for is to take, because if we look at all of the data, oh, Patty just pointed out on 4/21, that's our topic. So we are going to be doing that on April 21st. And Patty, did you want to add anything else as far as Planner goes for right now?
No, I think you covered it, and then we'll go into more detail about project management in general and how you can use Planner in Teams on the 21st.
Cool, thank you. So Power BI is this great tool where you can essentially, organizations are taking a look at all of the data that they've got sitting around, whether they be data that's part of their core application or data that is made available to them by their vendors, their customers, their whatever. And this gives you a single pane of glass, a single portal to allow you to allocate or to accumulate this data, look at it, and present it. It definitely needs someone knowledgeable in order to set this up. However, when we say knowledgeable, I would say the same type of skill set as somebody who's really good with Excel. It's not the same skills, but the same level of skill. And this gives you the ability to really create data definitions, reports, pane of glass, all of that kind of fun stuff that's going to be consistent throughout the organization. And if you'll remember, when we took a look at this in Teams, I can add, and we don't have an example of this, but I can add a Power BI page to a team. So again, let's say, for example, that you've created a Teams that's going to be your sales group, or a Teams that's going to be your management group. You can essentially create a Power BI dashboard that's going to show the critical stuff that's going on within the organization. Make that part of your Teams channel, and then help use that. Where does the data being used in Power BI live? Cool, good question, Ann. So by default, it lives wherever you want it to be. Power BI essentially goes out and grabs that data dynamically and then uses it to present the results. Now, in some cases, owing to the nature of your data, it may make more sense for you to have like a SQL server sitting out there or the like that actually accumulates the data, and then Power BI goes after that data. That's where you're kind of like a data warehouse concept or the like. In other cases, no, you want to see information that is absolutely up to date, so the Power BI product will actually go out to your application database and pull. It can go either way, or it can pull data out of an Excel worksheet. It can pull data out of pretty much any data source. It just needs to be able to dynamically access it when it's time to run that. Okay, so if you have an organization that has really, you want to see data that's on a daily basis. So you want to see the production up to yesterday, and it takes 3 hours to run data that consolidates and aggregates the data. In that case, you probably want something to store that data in a SQL database or the like that can be on-premise. It can be in Azure. It can be at a third party. It just needs to be accessible and securely accessible, I might add. So you've got some flexibility there. This is really the tool that will go out to wherever that data resides at that point and pull it and then consolidate it and present it. Does that make sense? There is a fair, thank you, cool. There is a fair amount of training that's available for Power BI, and the stuff that I was showing was actually on demo sites, and the demo sites include the ability to go into the data sources, modify the data sources and all that. And here's the other cool thing. If you're a larger organization and you want to implement something like this, boy, how do you do this? Well, first of all, you can bring in, quote unquote, the big guns. And the big guns would be a company who knows how to set up the data sources, the data mining, the data, all of that kind of fun stuff. Then you can use, and those are the expensive people to be sure, then you can use people who are, again, pretty much just really good Excel users, give them some training on how to use Power BI to extract the reports and to create the reports. And those folks aren't going to cost anywhere near as much. And then the third layer are the people who actually consume the data, who take a look at it for management. And Power BI gives you the ability to really split the cost down, so you really only need the expensive people to do the expensive things. Power BI is a great tool for that. So, okay, Stream. Stream is interesting. And Stream is a thing that's replacing videos. And like I said, it really gives you the ability, we go to the home page, it really is a place for your organization to store video content. And the video content can be raw stuff from recorded Teams meetings. It can be videos that you found some other place, whatever. And you can upload it, you can create it, you can do whatever. And then you can create channels. And you can share it within your organization based on membership, based on individuals, all of that kind of fun stuff. And you can either watch it here. So, for example, in channels, we've got 2 channels. We've got Learn and Ours. We used to call them Lunch and Learns. Now we're moving them outside of the lunch. And Work from Home webinars. This one has 5 videos. This one we're starting it next week, so we don't have any yet. And then how many followers? So, well, how do we then share that information so we can actually look at what's the content I've got? While we're waiting for that to load, I'll show you the end result. In Teams, we've got, and I think I did this in marketing, our marketing group, under General. Oh no, I did it under the podcast again. So I added here this tab, which here are the videos. And how did I do that? I just went to plus, added stream. And when you add a stream, you just have to specify what the link is for that particular channel. And for any particular video, I can go in and just say, come on, who do I want to share it with? Or what channel do I want to share it with? And we just say work from home webinars, which is already there. And boom, I add to it. So it's really easy to create the content. You just, however you create your videos, you upload it, or you just record Teams, and then assign it or add it to whatever groups or whatever individuals you want, and then Teams, you just add it as an additional tab if you want to. So this is really cool, and I've just started playing with this over the past few days, and this is a really cool way to make it. And think about it for a second. If you've got a team where you've got salespeople, let's say, and you get together every week, but not everybody can get together every week, but you get together on Teams, you record those meetings, you push the meetings up to stream, you add them to that particular channel, and you add the channel to your sales team. That means that they've got one-stop shopping to go to the meeting, to be part of that meeting, but then to go and review meetings that they missed. All there, all easy, and it includes the price. There's no additional price. There's no additional cost for any of these things. Okay? Kind of like that. Whiteboard. Any questions on that? Now let's look at Whiteboard. Whiteboard is an app I have not used enough, but it is, oddly enough, a whiteboard. And when we say it's a web and an app, actually the web will just bring up this app. But I can invite people to essentially work together, and I can put images, notes, I can put a menu together, ink mode, anything along those lines. And so you can basically create that whiteboard experience. And when you think about it, that's kind of neat because we're missing that when we talk about having online meetings. Yeah, we can look at screens. Yeah, we can do that. But that whole just, I want to throw it up on a whiteboard. And this one, we may actually do another more in-depth meeting because there's some cool things on that. Or we may just do a video demo where we can record it. But this is a cool thing that you can do as part of your meetings. Oh, and I'm sorry, I bypassed ToDO. ToDO. ToDO is one of the ones where also it has an application, and it's called Microsoft ToDO. And you'll notice that there's an app here for Apple, Windows, and Android. And you can essentially see, oops, you can import from Wunderlist if you want to. Some features, some things you can do. But essentially what that does is it'll show you, here's my day, whatever has been identified as important, what's planned, anything that's been assigned to you. So you can create a to-do here and assign it to somebody else, and vice versa. Or if there's something that's been assigned to you in Planner, it'll show up here as well. If you have flagged emails, if you have tasks, and you can also create lists. Honestly, I'm not crazy about this one, but that's just me. And part of my issue is we use EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, Traction, whatever. And so we use Traction tools for a lot of our to-dos. As well as we use, our RMM and PSA tools as well. So your mileage may vary, but it's kind of it's worth taking a look at if you're trying to find a centralized way to keep track of all the things that you've got to do. And then, because we're running out of time, we only got 30 minutes, finally is Yammer. Yammer, again, was purchased by Microsoft about 5 years ago or so, like so many of these things. And it is Facebook for businesses. And honestly, unless you're really trying to build, you're in a larger organization and you're really trying to build that online Facebook-like community for your organization, I'm not crazy about it. But to show you what it looks like, this is the Microsoft Yammer site. And as you can see, if we go to home, we've got all sorts of groups that are there, stuff that shows up. Here's all of the dialogues and the responses, and they have all sorts of groups. I can create my own if I want to. I can go searching. That's the default group. So if I wanted to, let's say, ToDO. So I can do a search. Yeah, that's probably not a good one. E5 licensing. So it'll show me there's 324 conversations, there's one group, there's 1,782 files, and there's 2 topics. And I can drill into that. And honestly, as a Microsoft partner, I've said this many times, including to many people at Microsoft. Microsoft is my favorite professionally dysfunctional relationship. Sometimes their partner resources are all over the bloody place, and it is very hard to get straight answers sometimes, or consistent answers. I have found that Yammer sometimes, their partner community Yammer site is some of the best places to find good information, because you'll also get it from Microsoft partners. So, and good questions. External people would be part of a Yammer group. All users just need a Microsoft account. When you set up Yammer, you decide. Now, keep in mind, whenever we want to have anything with security, somebody has to be responsible for verifying that person XYZ is in fact person XYZ. If they're internal to your organization, then they've got an Office 365 account that's based on your group. Great. If not, that's where you see that Microsoft account, Outlook.com, Hotmail.com, whatever, which is not just an email address, it's also a login. So you can instead insist on them having an account there, which they just have to use so that Microsoft says, yes, I do trust that this person is who they say they are, at least from that perspective. If you don't require that, then you're pretty much allowing anonymous access. And if you're allowing anonymous access, then anybody can say that they're anyone. So that creates that risk there. So essentially, you've got 3 types of access. You've got access number 1 is access that you allow, that is part of your internal organization. Access number 2 would be people who have Microsoft credentials of some kind. And again, they don't work for Microsoft, but they have credentials that Microsoft recognizes. And the 3 is more or less some kind of anonymous type of access. So, does that help? Cool. Yay. All right. So again, if apps don't show up, ask your 365 Global Administrator. And really, this is a very, very fast, quick review of this. Hopefully this helped. Again, if you need help, here's the link to go to set up a 30-minute call with me. Happy to go over this. Whether you're a global administrator or you're just an end user trying to use this stuff better, set something up. Happy to talk to you for a bit on that. And as we've said before, if you don't mind, give us some feedback. We really, thanks Glenn, happy Easter to you too. We really do want to get some feedback on this. As you can see, we're getting to the point so that we're running kind of out of topics. We've got a couple of ideas, but we would love to hear ideas from you guys. We're also talking about switching from live webinars to doing just 15, 20-minute recording of topics. We're kind of just figuring out what the best next steps are. We want to continue sharing information and continuing helping. Sharon, thanks. Power Automate, yeah. Power Apps, Power BI. So Sharon, you want us to just be on a power trip? Is that really what you're saying? Okay, cool. Love to hear feedback. Love to see you back here. All of that kind of fun stuff. And I think, unless there's any other question, I think we are pretty much done here. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great holiday weekend. Joshua, my pronunciation would be horrible, but same to you. See y'all soon.